and we're ready to go.
All right, Darlene, today I think you know more or less what we're going to do. We're going to go more in detail about the 10 dimensions. And but before, as I always do, Beverly is here. We always do, I would like to ask you if there's any questions that you have about the practice or anything that we have done before or anything before we start, because the time will rush away then and we have no time. Anything to tell? Are you having a great time? Great experiences? We are in a new world in a new year, which is fantastic. And everything is happening so quickly that almost we have no time to really even see it, isn't it? The changes is amazing. And but also we can understand how the drama is bring resolution to a new form of either maintaining sanity or allowing more and more the new world in order to reconcile all things, because the new world is one of the aspects of the new world is reconciliation. Means that all aspects of conflicts becomes reconciled by the consciousness as it becomes more and more present, that allow us to see the solution of all things and the renewal of all things instead of the problems of all things. So we are becoming free from seeing problems. And on the contrary, we always meant to be the solution, but this is the first time that we are conscious that we are the solution of everything. So it's a wonderful thing. So since there is no question, I'm going to start then. Okay, that we're good? Okay, don't be afraid to stop me. You can put your hands up and ask questions if it shows up, if it comes into your mind, because you know that I can go forever talking and talking and talking. And sometimes I have the feeling that I may have left you down the road somewhere. And that wasn't my intention. I want you to come back through it. And there is the great Nancy from San Francisco has shown up. Darlene, how lovely to see you.
Fantastic. Lovely to see you.
Yeah, how lovely. Fantastic. Okay, so there we are. We know what we're doing today, no? So if I put this here momentarily, you know that that's what I'm asking you.
Lift it up, because people can't see it.
I see. Thank you for telling me.
Okay, and if you would like, yeah, good.
Yeah, you know already because you have the graphic, I hope, right? So this, yeah. we have gone through.
Some people are new to this, Cristiam, so they may not, but they've seen, if they've been to my class, they've seen that graphic.
All right, and then if you would like the graphic, we will give them to you. We'll send it by mail or whatever, by email, so you can have it. And so then we have done many of this series now, and we have gone through many different stages of expressing the metrics of balance, which is actually the natural balance of our human self as it is united with three-dimensional space. And that's the practice of the movements and the practice of the understanding, feeling, and experience of ourself as our three senses are becoming more and more and more united into a common sense of unity, which is actually the fulfillment of our sense of self. And as the fulfillment of our sense of self, we are now celebrating a magical world that is becoming present through our eyes, but it's also becoming present by the very awareness in which we are seeing things anew. And today we will start going through the 10 dimensions. We have done it before many times, but today it was a desire to ask for a little bit more depth into each of the dimensions. The dimensions are the 10 sephiroth of the tree of life, as you know, but the dimensions are also the 10 points of reference within our physical self in the body that allow us to synchronize and centralize our being in three-dimensional space. So our sense of self-equilibrium becomes more and more united with the universal equilibrium. So we don't live only in the planet Earth as reality, but also we live it in the greater reality now. There is the universal reality in which the planet Earth has lived constantly in it, but we as humans has been mostly self-contained inside of our own little bubble now. So our mind, as it is expand, is connecting to a greater intelligence, a greater source of energy, and a greater connection, physical connection, that expresses in that engagement a regaining, if you may, of an essential sense of self that we always had from the beginning of time until now, and that for the first time is all inclusive, all encompassing, all knowledge, all feeling, all love, that allow us to really begin to connect with an aspect of intelligence being universal, that it is much larger, without making it in terms of right or wrong or good or bad, much larger than the scope in which we have seen our human experience in the planet Earth. So what that means is that we are all regaining the essential nature of our essential self, which is eternal, which it always has been and always will be. And now we are beginning to comprehend what that means and beginning to be in contact with that eternal energy that encompasses, as I said before, consciousness, which is mind, love, which is heart, and physical, which is the actual engagement and presence of us living that energy. So the 10 dimensions of life, the 10 sephiroth and the tree of life, and the 10 points of reference and the physical body are 10 expressions of unity. 10 expressions of unity. Carolina's are entered. Yeah, Carolina, the light is good. Fantastic. Because we needed to have more light to her to see. So then, the 10 dimensions of life are 10 expressions of unity, and express within themselves 10 individuals expressions of consciousness that as a whole makes the whole understanding, feeling, and experience of the energy that is life. So I said it again, the 10 dimensions are 10 expressions of consciousness that as a whole express 10 individual holistic forms of consciousness that inside of the whole system is the entire experience of life, and concealed within itself our entire experience of life, our entire understanding of life, our entire communion with life. Because life is all there is, you know. Life is the gift from which we can really perceive, feel, understand anything. But in the process of our evolution, life sometimes became objectified. So we innocently disconnected from the reality of life itself. And as we become more present with it, life begins to be perceived as what it is, a miracle that allows us to be constantly in the presence of the magical gift that life has given us, but also the magical gift of perceiving the wondrous world in which we are now existing, being nature, being the energy, the whole energy, love, and then being consciousness, that for the first time, consciousness exists inside of the realms of wholeness, and the mind inside of wholeness is comprehending the whole content of its unity. So our mind is becoming present with a whole system that is the unity of the mind itself. So that we have a full comprehension of our unity, our being, our love, our presence, about all the aspects that make up the 10 dimensions of life. Now, the 10 dimensions of life, like the tree of life, like the metrics of balance, they are simultaneous. And what I mean by simultaneous, they make up one instant, which is actually the very instant of the frame of movement of life. We use the word frame of movement because we know that life is constantly changing. But for the first time, we are present with life in the very change that is transforming life itself as well. So it's different. It's not that we are experiencing our change in relation to life. We have experienced the actual change that's changing life as a continual, in the continual realm of eternity, which is the movement of all things. We are inside of the universe, transforming itself moment by moment, becoming the universe, becoming the intelligence of the universe, becoming the whole of creation, manifesting as one, the perfection that it was meant for us to be present with, and the perfection that now finally we are with as well, consciously being present with that reality. So we are not only experience the daily day of our human experience, but also becoming in flashes, in large periods of understanding, in moments of transcendence, the universal reality that encompasses that as well. And through that comprehension, understanding, and experience, we are co-creators, if you may, of the new world. Mm. So, because the new world doesn't exist as a concept, it is actually the existence of its own existence manifesting anew. Yeah, the new world is the existence of its own existence manifesting anew. It's not a concept or a new world. It is a connection to the actual existence that exists as 100% of creativity. It doesn't have a percent of creativity. It's the whole creativity that we call universe that we are part of. And our intelligence is comprehending what that is. And we are instrumental in the manifestation of that reality. Because manifestation without awareness of that existence, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a concept of words. So we are the creation of the new world. At the same time that we are receiving, the giving and the receiving, the creation and the becoming are simultaneous. They are not linear. We are inside of it. So it's good to think, okay, let me just speak for a moment from here. So just before I continue. So I'm telling you that we are inside of the new consciousness, and that the new consciousness is the very movement, manifestation, creation of life itself. So you see, we're using many words because we were formed as humans inside of a linear modality of words. But when we're thinking about that we are one with life changing and manifesting itself as the universe and as our life at the same time. We are not creatures, we are releasing the idea that here we are and life is here and the creation is there and someday we're going to go to heaven or something is going to happen. We are all together now existing inside of that field that is the manifestation of life itself. That is the reason that we say that we are inside of eternity. We are with and forever manifesting from now on in eternity, because once we understand that, life is a concept, death disappears as a concept as well, because we can never die. We're always have been, we always will be. And the gift that we are receiving in this particular moment in ourselves is the knowing, the feeling, and the experience that is our eternal nature. That is a lot, because in the past, our eternal nature was always in some particular place, in a spiritual plane, or in a particular place, in life after death, in some particular dimension of higher consciousness. This is the first time that everything is here now, including our eternal self, that we are eternal. Because eternity doesn't exist if it doesn't encompass all things as now. Yeah, eternity can never be a project, an aspect of the mind, a vision of the mind in the future. right? Eternity is nothing other than the moment of existence traveling with all creation with it, not as an observer, but inside of itself. Yeah, fantastic. The great and divine, yes, absolutely. Beverly has a question for us.
Thank you. Hello,
Thank you.
everyone.
Welcome.
Christian, it is beautiful the way you explain everything, and that the knowing and the feeling and the emotions, but with the history of humanity, we have been in a framework of limits and limitations, and the thoughts of having limits or problems. So are you saying, I think I hear you saying we're here now, we're connected, but what my question is, are we here and connected because we have evolved? Has everyone, humanity, evolved? Is it because of unity in motion practice? And how do we stay here and feel it more and be connected more?
Beautiful.
Consciously.
Yeah. Thank you for your question. The answer of the question comes in the many meetings that we have had in the past already, with the acknowledgements of the harmonic conversions 30 years ago, and in the moment that the whole of the alignment of the heavens and the alignment of our consciousness, if you may, because our human consciousness from the beginning of time has evolved, manifesting a frame of references that based in spiritual knowledge and wisdom and philosophical projections and understanding of science and many things coordinated in one specific moment 30 years ago, in which it was written from the beginning of time, from the moment that we separated ourselves from wholeness, that we will return to it. And that moment became one instant in which the whole of humanity and the whole of universal existence became simultaneously one for the first time, sharing the same instant of absolute change that is life itself. So the complexity is that we coming from, if it is that such a thing, is in our evolutionary nature. That's what you say, Beverly. We created many ideas about things, problems, and things that we have to resolve, and rightly so, because we were involved in a system that we were constantly discovering what we were by becoming free from what we were not. So for trial and error, we evolved into eventually becoming the whole of ourselves. So inside of the system that we're coming from, the problem was always the door for knowledge. In the system that we are right now, the problem, it doesn't exist anymore. It's actually the creativity that is the resolution of the problem. So either the resolution comes as a consequence of we perceiving something as a problem, and then we discover that we are the solution of it, or it even doesn't even exist anymore. When I'm talking to you about the new consciousness, we will not ever see the problem anymore, because the solution and the problem are simultaneous with the moment itself. The problem is nothing other than the confusion of the evolutionary sense of self, and the solution itself is actually becoming free from that as we are in the new consciousness, and then in the freedom be able to experience our freedom and to see freedom by the very nature of our new creativity and our new intelligence. Because the new consciousness is not based in duality. It's not based there is something is wrong and something needed to be fixed, and we need to fight for goodness, and we need to fight for those things. Those things are wonderful as a thought, but it doesn't exist anymore. We are the actual existence of the freedom that correspond out of the fulfillment of that particular state. So that's the reason we have completed our evolutionary sense of self and we are inside of the gift from which evolution has projected itself through thousands and thousands and thousands of years. So that's what the new consciousness means. It means that we are inside of a new mind, inside of a new energy that is eternal, and inside of a new physical experience that encompasses all things at the same time that lives. Life and the experience of wholeness are one and the same thing. It's a little bit complex sometimes in our minds, because for the first time, we are the God that we always have been worshiping. We became, in the new consciousness, we are the very thing that we have projected as God, because we were said that we were the image and the likeness, and the image and the likeness has become united to the source of its life, has become one. Now, in the oneness, it's not the fulfillment of a spiritual path. It's actually the fulfillment that existed before all spiritual paths were created. It's the fulfillment that was imprinted inside of our original imprint of wholeness. So the spiritual process was nothing other than the different stages of knowledge that eventually brought us to the actual experience of the spirit. And the spirit, it doesn't have a process. It lives as life itself. And this is why we're going to talk about the Trinity now. Yes, darling, please, Elaine, yes, you have a question.
Yes. And so everything that you're saying,
yes,
I feel it. I feel like I understand it, and it makes me very happy. But the question that I heard Beverly ask, and tell me, Beverly, if this is what you were saying. I think what you're asking is, when Cristiam says we, who is he referring to when he says we? Is that what you're asking?
Yes,
Well,
yes.
Is it him? Is it you? Is it me? Is it the guy living on the street?
And also, where
Okay. That's beautiful. But wait a minute, darling. Yeah.
the unity in motion practice.
I love your question. Yes, absolutely. But let me see. Are you finished with the question? What you asked me to? That's it. That's the question. Who is the me? Who is the we? Right? Who is the we? Right? And then Beverly, you add something before I answer.
I'm clarifying the question. Within the unity in motion practice,
yes,
are we becoming more of what we are? Are we feeling it more? And why is unity in motion different from Qigong and yoga and all the other avenues? So is it, we're doing a practice so that we can connect, correct?
We're doing a practice, so linearly, if you were to explain it linearly, you would say we're doing a practice so we can become more and more united. Now, if you do it from the whole understanding, we are doing a practice so we can discover the unity that we already are. So this is delicate, but this is very important. Through the practice, we begin to experience more and more the process of being united, which is the same as saying to become more and more simultaneous with ourselves. And then, but at the same time, we understand that process of becoming more simultaneous with ourselves is really actually the actual revealing within ourselves the very thing that is the essence of what we think we are. So we always have been, and we always will be, but the process allows us then to begin to be able to understand it, which is the mind begins to show us how it comes into being, to be able to really feel it because it's the actual energy of life, and to really connect in the physical existence with something that encompasses all things. The now, the physical existence, is the farthest corners of the universe, the life in the planet Earth, me sitting in this table with you, me talking these words with you, everything is simultaneous. this is the reality of unity. One way of be able to one way of acknowledge unity is the word simultaneous, right? It happens at the same time. Simultaneous happen at the same time. The same time is the moment of life, right? The moment itself, right now, here. The moment of life is synchronized to all things. Yeah, that's what physics tell us. Quantum entanglement and physics tell us that the entire existence of the field that we call the universe, made of particles, stars, constellations, are all not subject to time, location. They are actually simultaneous with life. They don't use the word life because the physicists, maybe, I do not know if they, in their mind, acknowledge life to be the very thing that they call quantum entanglement. Only because of the complexity that in the planet Earth, we think of life only being our idea of biological life. That means the life that we experience within the planet Earth, you know, the part of nature that we are. But in reality, life is everything. It's not, it's all aspects. So when we're talking about life, we're talking about the union of universal existence with the union of the natural existence that we call our biological life on the planet Earth. So we're talking about a larger spectrum of life, not because when you're thinking about only in the planet Earth, everything is temporary because everything is transmuted itself completely. In the reality of universal existence, the transmutation and the renewal are synchronized. The transmutation and the renewal. So the comprehension of the mind in whatever degree can begin to comprehend that or be with it is what also allows the physical body, who we are physiologically, to be supported by this understanding that all aspects of the physical body are also, like the universe, transforming themselves without the thought that they're really actually decaying or having to leave this planet in order to go to a continuity of life in another form. So we're talking about in a life that is all encompassing. So that's a great question. You know? Now, in relation to, so anyway, I say simultaneity is a word that is very important for us to contemplate, especially for the mind comprehended, that it means right now, right? All together now, simultaneity. Synchronicity, what do you think synchronicity is? Okay, I would say the synchronicity is, yeah, we'll have it. Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Go ahead, Leslie. That's wonderful. Yes, synchronicity. Oh, I'm sorry, darling. Wait for a second because you are not in voice. I need your voice. Yeah. Synchronicity is a wonderful word.
Is it the cohesion of everything together at the same time?
Yes, who's saying that? Are you saying it, Leslie? Yeah.
The cohesion of everything at the same time.
Yes, absolutely. The synergy. So cohesive could be another word for synergy, right? Because cohesive means the union that makes everything together, right? So synthesis or synergy is that, is the energetic field that exists as all things become one. Yes, it's a good word. Synthesis is a fantastic. Synthesis and synchronicity are fantastic words. Simultaneity is a fantastic word. And then the most fantastic word of all of it is unity. And this is the answer, Elaine. Elaine, you're asking, when you say, what do you think? We use the word we. In unity, all there is we. There is no I in unity. But the we is made up of all I's. Yeah, we cannot exist without all I's. Yeah, one. So the reality of the new consciousness, and all the ones and all the we's are one at the moment of life. So we use the word we because the one is only self-contained in the we. The we is not self-contained in the I. Oh, it is, but you can't separate it. You can't separate the we from the I. The entire history of evolution was the story of the distant difference between the I and the we. The I in this history of evolution, it was necessary because that's the only way we can really grow, because we grow individually as points of awareness. But in the past, it was called the ego because the I thought, okay, I am all there is. I do what I want. I am it. I am, my life is my own experience. But then the spiritual world that we have evolved has keeps telling, but we are one and we are the all and blah, blah, blah. And they show us all the things about the we. And when we are the we think ourselves as philanthropic and fixing the world and repairing things and transcending the ego. And then when we are in the ego or the self, we're thinking about life is my own experience. I can't separate myself into the we too much because I am the one that I create in my life. I am the one that I becoming successful. I am the one that I get to experience love. I am the one who I'm going to create my children. I am the one that I'm going to manifest it, so forth and so forth. So we have been, and somehow the entire, if we went to think about division of evolution, will be the distance between the I and the we. And this is the first time that we are the we. But we are also the one. Because in the moment that we are the we, I am. I exist in the we. I don't exist in the I. Well, it's complex to talk because we go back into word. Excuse me, the I can never be separated, like the Son. Remember that the Trinity of life is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. This is what we're going to talk about today a little bit, the first Trinity. In the first Trinity, the Son cannot exist without the Father. And the Father and the Son cannot exist without the Spirit, the union. That's what the master religions of the we call Christian religions have told us, that they were one. But the oneness got complex because we in the linear process, we want to say, wait, the one, it's the one, but the Father is the Father, and the Spirit, but the three are the one. So it created this extraordinary exercise in the mind that when the mind trying to understand it, separated it. Because in reality, it is the union. It is the union of things. So the we, the I, and the natural moment of life are the same thing. That's what 3 dimensions means. That each of us is the I, living in the field of the we, and in the knowing that those things are one is what put us in the moment of life. The I and the we without the moment of life, again, is crazy because they are 3 things, 3 dimensions. We were created in a field of 3 dimensions. It means that we needed 3 things to make any form of perception. And those 3 things are simultaneous, they're one. So anyway, did I answer the question a little bit, Elaine, about the we, when I said the way we? Yeah. So, but then also when I say I know that I am the we. You know what I mean? Every time that, because I can't keep talking to you about we, because then your mind expands into another level. It disperses itself in the we. So it's important to understand. And when I say the I, it brings it down, right? I and we. But then I understand that the I and the we is the now as well, and they are one. So I can use the word we, if I want to. I can use the word I, and I can use now. And I know that I'm talking about the same thing. My mind comprehends that. I comprehend that. And the wonderful thing about the we that is fantastic, that in the union of this Trinity that we're talking about, simultaneity, synergy, synchronicity, the union of the Trinity, the actual embodiment of our human existence, our unitary embodiment of our human existence, it's I want to, I'm going to use a word that is kind of can be confused, but it's messianic in its nature. But the complexity that all the words that we have in our evolutionary self, like Christ-like or messianic or Buddha-like or so on, things like that, are all interpretations that we created about spirituality. In reality, we are the essence of that. We are not that. We are the essence of that. So in reality, in the union of the 10 dimensions, for example, each of us is the Messiah, but not without the word, without that, the actual existence of it, because the Messiah in our consciousness is a concept of something that it was projected in the Jewish tradition, and it's something that momentarily got to be lived by Christ in the past, and he created a lot of complexity. You know the story, the myth that the Jewish tradition innocently said, okay, the Messiah can never be a person. You know, it have to be somebody that creates a different world. And then in the other story, the person will be the only way that it could embody as the Messiah. So we have this two aspects of differences between the Christian tradition and the Hebrew tradition. But the Messiah is not a story of the past. It's not an interpretation of consciousness. It's the natural moment of existence as it lives by our human self. It is the natural moment of existence as it is lived by the human self. Because we are the Messiah. But of course, you know, inside of the linear process, I said, oh, crazy, how can you be the Messiah? Blah, blah, blah. It will be an enormous amount of time of discussions forever and time. How can you be the Messiah? But in the reality, the Messiah is actually the nature of our human self. But we are even more than our human self. Because the Messiah was supposed to save the world. But we are the already saving of the world. We can never save the world because our existence is already the presence of the saving world. So what that means that our consciousness no longer projects need for saving. It is the presence of the existence of the renewal. And the renewal is our communion with everything, our communion with God, our communion with the Trinity, our communion with the infinity, our communion with the universe, our communion with everything that you could imagine that is exalted in our being. And the reason it's called exalted, because exalted is a word that can encompass the meaning of the created existence of life. Life is exalted every single moment because it creates every single moment, transforms itself in every single moment, and renews itself in every single moment. So it's an engine. We are inside of an engine that we call the fountain of life that recreates itself every single instant, but it's not self-enclosed inside of its own enclosure. It recreates itself as its continual, forever existing unfolding. That is the reason we say that the universe is expanding into infinity. The universe is not inside of a closed circuit, because the only way you can encompass the moment of life, if we acknowledge that it is recreating itself in this moment into infinity, because that's what eternity means. The continuity of wholeness with unwholeness, recreating itself anew, infinity. The continuity of wholeness with unwholeness, recreating itself anew. So all these things that I'm telling you, in the beginning, they seem to be so far out, because they're so big, but it's the actual containment of mind in which our human self can really comprehend the existence of living in eternity. So you have to have self-containment to be able to experience and know infinity. Yeah, so that's a wonderful thing. That's what three dimension means. Self-containment, infinity, as it is presence in the now. The self-containment is our human self that encompasses the body, the story of yourself, everything. Then the infinite is all there is, and then the moment itself is the three-dimensional nature, and that's the way we are. We are self-contained beings that exist within the field that is infinite and is renewing itself constantly as the moment of life. And the reason that we are self-contained is because it's the only way that the mind can comprehend anything. Our mind can only comprehend something by self-containing it. But if we understand it, that the self-containment is a natural necessity of three dimensions, it is natural reality of life, we no longer contracting ourselves by an awareness. We are the actually manifestation of the new world, because the new world is 100% physical. 100% physical means 100% self-containment inside of a field that is infinite in relation to energy and space and time. And that's the nature of ourselves. Here we are inside of that. Yeah. So anyway, let's stop for a few seconds. Let's regroup for a little bit. So we answered the conversation a little bit for Elaine about what the we and the I. You understand that the we and the I is becoming very important in our culture right now, right? It's fantastic, because that's the question that we're having in this moment in the country right now. Is the question between the we and the I, and there is you can see that likely and fantastically and wonderful, we're going into the we. We are not going into the I. But the problem is that when we use words, we may think that the I is not good, but it's important to understand that without the I, the we doesn't exist, right? Without you, and that's the reason that without you, the Messiah, without you, the Christ, without you, the Buddha, without you, Allah, without you, all those things, nothing could ever exist. But you are not the remembrance of the Christ or the Buddha or the Messiah. You are the renewal and the fulfillment of the myth. That's very important, because if you don't understand that you're the fulfillment of the myth, innocently, then what's happening, that your mind begins to dissipate inside of the mind itself, and then you are back into the time, inside of time, and the thought is, okay, but I'm to follow it, and that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm going to be, and then so you innocently miss the very creative instant that is the renewal of that which you are worshiping. You're innocently missing the very creative instant that is the actual honoring and renewal of that which you're worshiping. So I am the renewal of Christ. But that doesn't mean that I'm more than Christ. I am the fulfillment of it. It doesn't mean more anymore of it. It's no longer. I am Buddha itself. Actually, Buddha was my great uncle. You know, and another time, right? The Buddha under the tree trying to figure it out, how all those crazy people like me in Israel going like, oh my God, fighting constantly and going into the human experiences, trying to figure out the Dharma. What is the behavior that eventually is going to get you to freedom? But all those things can never get to freedom. We became free because freedom was destined already, and it was always existing, and it became present 30 years ago. We became free. But not because of the Dharma. It's not subject to behavior. Freedom is the natural existence of our own essence. And then inside of the natural existence of our own essence, we are all angels. We are all beautiful. We are all loving. We are all gods. We are all everything. But inside of a system that operates inside of the we. So we take care of everything. We take care of nature. We take care of the family. We take care of and take care means, take care means could be I water the plant, but in reality it's my communion with the plant, that the plant is saying, oh, thank you very much. I'm going to grow much. I'm going to put Miracle Grow a little bit. And oh my God, what are you doing to me? I give you food so you can grow. And the plant said, I'm going to get more leaves for you tomorrow morning when you see me. And you're going to say, oh my God, the plant is coming out and I am coming out too. Because if I don't experience the coming out of the plant, I don't come out. I mean, I'm just observing. So I am all things becoming anew as the new consciousness of life. So the consciousness of life is the most amazing divine gift that we are receiving, that we have received. That is fantastic. Because otherwise we think that the consciousness of new consciousness of life is the renewal of the ancient consciousness. But it's not a renewal of the ancient consciousness. It's the reinstatement of a new system of unity that encompasses all things and allow us to be present with our ancient and eternal existence at the same time. Ancientness in terms of time, because we're coming from the whole process of humanity. Eternity, because it's the universal aspect of the whole of it. And then at the same time, mean right here, right now. So the ancient, we are as old as time, as young as eternity, and present as the moment of life. And then inside of the moment of life, the we, all of it, the old and the new become really all connected. They are not old anymore and not new. They're all together one. We are all together now. That's the reason we're using this graphic, the all together now, because in all aspects of ourselves existing simultaneously as one. That's what's going on with us. So we'll regroup for a few moments. Did you understand what I'm talking a little bit about the new? I know you understand everything, but let me see what I mean by that. There are certain things that if you have this video, if you listen to you again, if you can make certain words that it comes to your mind, like synchronicity, eternity, simultaneity, synergy, all those words that we're using are really words that encompasses the whole system that we call universe. They are not linear words. So once your mind, you said you allow your mind to understand, okay, synchronicity is nothing other than the whole content of my brain making sense of reality. Synchronicity is nothing other than the whole content or context of my brain making sense of reality. And when you say that to your brain has said, oh, wow, thank you very much. You give me permission, because the brain, it doesn't have consciousness without you. It has consciousness as nature, but it doesn't have consciousness without you. So when you instruct the mind and consciousness to be able to understand unity inside of itself, all systems follow. Because otherwise the systems are constantly laboring to keep us alive and to keep us present the best we can, but they may not be able to partake of the moment of creation because they're all trying to figure it out how they maintain us alive. Can you imagine the work that it takes to the system? So when the cells, I say to the man, okay, simultaneous means that everything is all together now. But okay, see, everything is all together now, but that means that I am in the presence of the universe. So if you spend a second with that, the whole body, it will come to the surface. It will begin to go. And that presence to the body, for example, it will allow the liver, the pancreas, your heart will begin to connect more because, oh, my heart is the palpitation of the solar system, right? That my heart is actually the motor that never has stopped for an instant. From the moment that I call myself alive, in which the creation of a child begins to become into existence. And for the first time, the palpitation came. It's almost like we are awakening to our connection to the solar system. And then from then on, most of us think that the heart is something like that, and we take care of it, and we take pills because we have to be careful not to take too much of this and too much of that and take care of the heart. But very few of us know that the heart, that is the palpitation of our being, it's actually our immediate connection to the solar system and then the universe. So if your mind begins to say, okay, the palpitation of my heart is the electrical impulse of life itself. Okay, because what we call life is when the heart stops, kaput, we think, okay, my spirit left the body. But if you allow yourself to think about, okay, my heart is actually the connection to all things. My heart rejoices because my heart, in its essence, is the connection to all things. But if I don't tell my heart, you are the connection of all things, the heart doesn't know, because only the self, not only, let's put it different. The self has the consciousness that can understand and empower everything. Everything else lives life as it is. Nature lives life as it is, perfectly, because nature is perfect. The function of nature is to transmute and recreate itself anew in order to manifest the eternal nature of life. Nature manifests and recreate itself in order to manifest the eternal nature of life. This self is the part of us that can understand that. It's not just only the function, we can understand the function of our existence. That's the reason we say we were created in the image and the likeness. And that's the reason that forever was the discussion. Who are you to say that you are more aware than an animal? And then it becomes a long discussion, blah, 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 blah. No, all things in nature follow the rule and law of continuity, love, recreation, all of it in nature. That's what our mother, nature is our mother. We, the I, which is the we and the moment, the I is the only one who can really be aware of the wholeness of its nature. That's a lot. And that's the reason, that is the moment that we can say we are one with our creator. That's the reason we can say we are one with God, because we came into this world, all of you, I'm sure, because that's why we are together, came here to this world to know the nature of your existence. Not to just to live life, well, that just shouldn't use that word. Not to just live life. Look at what I said. I had to take the word just. Not to just, no, I don't know. I have to find another word. Because just is the word that throws the thing out. Not only, perhaps I would say, not only to live the magical nature of your life, but also to live the magical nature of the knowledge that is the magical nature of your life. The knowledge, the mind of God, that's what it is. The mind of God, it knows everything, feels everything, is everything. That's where we are in the new consciousness. And we are going through a lot of complexities a little bit because we carry within ourselves the memory of time, and the memory of time, as it was interpreted in evolution, can never house the consciousness that knows everything, is everything, and feels everything. Because it was always based in the evolutionary unfolding of our own complexity, or our own search and our own soul. But it was beautiful. Remember, the evolution was the most divine, beautiful gift because it brought us home. But it is important now to acknowledge home. We are in home. I shouldn't use that word. It is important now to acknowledge home because it sounds like something you have to do. It is divine now that you can acknowledge home. You see what the word does? It is important that you acknowledge that, no, it is divine that you are acknowledging that you are home. Because everything is in the present moment. It's no longer in the future. So that's what it means, that the messianic nature of ourselves express everything from the perspective of fulfillment, because it is the given expression of that which is, not the perception of that which must be or transform or become. It is the actual existence of the perfection from which all things will become more and more perfect, because that the nature of creation is perfection, divinity, beautiful, more wonderful, more nature, more flowers, more plants, more love, more color, more beautiful furniture, because everybody's making more beautiful things, more beautiful clothes, because everybody's making fantastic fabrics, more beautiful haircut, because somebody is much more intelligent about it, more beautiful skin, because somebody is discovering something that your skin will be able to reproduce, or whatever it is, more health, because the science discovering oh, you can do something different now, that, like the vaccine, do you know that how the vaccine of COVID got created in such a short time? The vaccine got created in such a short time, just to be briefly, because in the COVID vaccine, before, the vaccines were created inside of a system that were injecting or giving to the person part of the very thing that they were suffering from. So in other form, if they give me polio, for example, since I had polio when I was a child, they gave me, when they gave me the vaccine, they put part of polio in myself in order to my body develop the very things that allow me to counteract that system seemingly outside of myself. The new vaccine is not like that. The new vaccine is discovered as something that occurs within our human self, that by the very nature of being activated, immediately neutralize all aspects of getting the COVID. So the activated within ourselves, the key that produces the activation that doesn't let the virus to come in. So they don't have to inject me with the virus. So the very thing, because everything that is external is already internal within us, they're activating the very thing within me that is the virus. They don't have to put the virus in me. There is the very thing that corresponds to the virus, and that's the reason it's 95% successful, and that's the reason that we'll be able to make it in 1 year. And now, since they have this new system that they can activate inside of the body, the very things that correspond to that part, they can create vaccines for cancer, for any of the diseases that they didn't know how to create it with drugs. They can manifest it from inside and within. Just to show you how divine is the nature of the new consciousness, allowing science to become present in their creativity to manifest a new world. So the science is creating the new world. The artists are creating the new art. You are creating the new perception of beauty in your home, in your life, in your being. You are creating the expression of teaching, unity in motion, and teaching unity. You are creating everything that you see is something that you are creating. It's not something that you see. It is seeing you at the same time that you see it. So that's what we are. This is the union of our new consciousness. That's what it means. So anyway, any questions about that? I don't know what I'm doing with time, and it's for free. I have a few minutes more. Let's get a break. Do you need some water, a martini, or something to drink, or a glass of wine? I'm kidding you, of course, that you could. But well, once you are yourself, you can do everything. But it all depends. For certain people, a martini will be lovely. For certain people, you just say, "Oh my God, I gotta go to bed." I wouldn't do it. Alcohol will kill me. But anyway, it's all relative, because the most important thing to understand that since each of us is a unique expression of the we, which is the all, each of us have a creative expression to that. And the creation of expression is all creative now, because the new consciousness function inside of the full knowledge of the we. So the full knowledge of the we is 100% benign. Yeah, you don't have to ever think about that you have to be good, or you have to do all the behavioral nature of the projection of consciousness got dissolved. So you took away thousands and thousands of years, because remember that in the story of our evolution, it was very difficult to comprehend that in the moment of the harmonic convergence, we can all become simultaneously one, because in the history of evolution, it will take millions and millions of years for every single human being to be able to become awakened, to be able to match the Dharma, to be able to match the reality. So think about the gift that millions and millions of years have been erased in one instant in the moment of union, in which we all became present. But of course, What that means is that each of us discovering what that is, and it will become more and more knowledgeable and comprehensible by each of us, because we are all the individual beings. But one thing you know for sure, it will always be beautiful, it will always be divine, it will always be perfect, it will always be conscious, it will always be, because the new consciousness is that, not because the human being is going to become that. We are becoming who we are. We are not becoming what we're going to be. Yeah, this is very important. We are becoming who we are. We are not becoming what we're going to be. Because it's impossible to become what you're going to be, because becoming only existed in the totality of you, in us. So anyway, it's really, it's beautiful, isn't it? The new consciousness is the most fantastic thing. So anyway, today we're supposed to go through each of the 10 dimensions. But I don't know if I should, because I don't want to keep adding more stuff right now. I think that all this thing, the clarification of the meaning of the new consciousness is just as important that then go through each of the dimensions. Because when we go to each of the dimensions, we go into one individual expression of wholeness as it existed within the 10. And each of the 10 dimensions, which you already have, are all expressions of the natural moment of life, now. Always now, always now. Once the mind begins to comprehend the 10 dimensions, the 10 dimensions will always bring you to the present moment. It will never take you into a voyage. It will always bring you into the now. So what that means, that you will always be more and more present with the moment of creation, with the moment of renewal. You will less and less will go back into your head in the moment of what will be, what word can we gonna use that is not divided. It will no longer be in the return to the dream time. We would just be constantly present, awaken, go to bed, sleep, have wonderful dreams. And then in the dream time, the consciousness, beautiful, the consciousness is going to bring to you the most divine understandings, because the new consciousness operates in your brain. We are all like radio stations inside of one radio station. They're all millions of radio stations inside of one radio station. And as you know, the divine, the function of the divine is to allow us to really individually to comprehend what that is for us. So in nighttime, when you go to bed and you wake, when you go to bed in dreams, the mind is going to make many arrangements that will change the neurological system, which is the nervous system. And then it will allow your body to become more and more present with the relaxation of love. The body loves, the body is the body is ecstasy inside of your own sensation of self. So we are going to get up in the morning and I said, oh my God, I feel fantastic. And then you may not know there's something has put it in your brain that assists you to understand something that when you go to open the TV, the computer is going to show you and you understand it. It's, oh, wow, this. So anyway, everything will change within you. Yeah. So anyway, darling, yes, Leslie, you have a question. Yeah, go ahead. I love your mind, darling. I love your mind. Thank you.
Are you talking about the oneness of humanity?
The oneness of humanity, beautiful. Yeah, that's a wonderful thing. Do you think the oneness of humanity can be encapsulated as unity?
Yeah, all of humanity was created as a single unit.
Definitely, absolutely. Yes, humanity was created as a whole. The human, and this is in my perception, humanity, a human being is a holographic imprint of wholeness. That inside of the myth of time, Genesis, we said that it was the image and the likeness of God. That's what the tree of life is. Then in the Darwinian idea of evolution, we created that we were coming from the species, from the amoeba, and unfolded forever in time as the brain to expand, and eventually promising that one day we will be able to arrive to a place in the brain that would allow us to understand our nature. So those two views are reconciled, the Genesis and the Darwinian, into the new consciousness. So yes, we are all one, but we are all one individual expression of the wholeness.
Of a single unit.
Yeah, so oneness and wholeness are inseparable. So, but inside of the oneness and wholeness, I am that I am. And what that means is that inside of oneness and wholeness, that I am the union awareness of those two things. Therefore, I am the Trinity that gives me my renewal as self, as life, as everything. Each of us is that. So we are all awakening to the oneness and the wholeness. So it's impossible that the world will not become one, because it is already. It is impossible that all humanity will awaken to the union of the we, because we are already there. It's impossible that all ideas of systemic racism would dissolve for our consciousness, because we're already one. It is impossible that justice and for all will not, because everything has already happened. You know, everything. The reason that I said everything has already happened, because the actualization of everything is already here. So everything is completed, but we're going through the different stages of experiencing that. And the more that we become present with that realization, the more creativity for each of us, because then we get to be more and more present with the realization that we are the new world. The realization that we are the new world is a divine thing, because that's the only way, forget that word. The reason that we are the new world is because the new world is the creativity of life. Yeah? And the creativity of life is the moment of our existence. So all the things comes together into it. But you see how I have to get calm myself with words, because what happened from the traditional mind that we come in, we have many words that we use that we don't understand what they mean. We say it, but we don't understand what they mean. So when we say those words, we innocently project like something that is outside of the moment itself. And then innocently, we are disconnecting ourselves and we project, innocent. It's all innocent, because we all, in reality, we are all gods. That's it. You couldn't be anything else. But then inside of being God, you can be an angel today, or you can be a saint today. But saint disappear as doing something that you're suffering for humanity, because sainthood is not. Sainthood will be the awareness of the love that you experience as you give yourself to others. It's all for you in some ways, you know. The canonization became the idea that you have to become like a saint, but it's impossible, because we are saints. We are all saints. We are all saints. We are all angels. We are gods, really, actually. But we are more even than that, because the self is actually the existence of God. It's not the remembrance of God. That's a different. That's a fantastic, very important thing to remember. The self is the existence of God. It's not the remembrance of God, because the remembrance of God, it doesn't exist. God only exists in the now. So you cannot remember God in the now. You can only be with God in the now. And you can only be with God in the now by being with yourself. You can never be with God, because God is the creation of our own search for unity. But then now that we are in unity, God is the very existence of our own self-awareness. So it's not separated. The mind lost that symbol of being outside. So, and God is divine, because God gave you everything. You are everything. So everything for us to have. So we are in a big celebration. This is the celebration of the new world. and the new consciousness, the new government, the new integration of unity among humanity in America. Yeah, because what happened lately, the big drama that was just coming from, it was about an instant that innocently was trying to project separation in order to protect. You can never protect with separation. You can only protect with unity. So we are, America has said, yes, we are going for unity, because unity is all there is. May not understand it completely what that is, because many of us think, oh, unity is wonderful and blah, blah, blah. But also we're beginning to comprehend that unity is. It's not something that you're going to become. So we are really lovely. So anyway, I think I love you. I think I'm going to, it's early. I have 15 minutes more, but I don't think that I don't know what to say about it. It's up to you. If you want to comment anything, in fact, I don't want to give you more information because I have the feeling that I already say everything.
Yeah,
It's kind of funny, isn't it? I have the feeling that I already say everything. But it's lovely. So every time that we get together, you're going to get doses of everything, but from another perspective. Today was the perspective of the new consciousness. The next time that we get together will be from the perspective of crown, which is the first dimension. And crown is the perspective of the moment of creation that we call the fountain of life. What does it mean to be in the fountain of life? So anyway, that will be next. And maybe we'll go to consciousness and unity as well. And maybe you can send me a little letter, and then we can talk to each other via or you can create commentaries in here. Because remember that this is the first time that we are developing a form of communication between each other that is expressing the moment of eternity. We are not having conversations about other things. We are having conversations about our nature, what we are creating, what we're manifesting, the world and its beauty. So it's beautiful. Eventually, that's what will happen in the planet. We will talk about each other. And what I cook, like Carolina said, today I'm cooking this, and it's wonderful at the house, the flowers. But then there are moments in which we talk about, oh, the world is becoming more and more beautiful and more present. And I have this experience, wonderful. So I tell you a little experience about it before I got up Saturday morning. Is the day that we always get together to have hot chocolate. And we go to this place in the park to have hot chocolate in the morning, because it's the only place that we can eat and be in sequestered, because we are not allowed to be in any place that is not protected. So I got up in the morning, and I get up and I bought it for Christmas a panettone. You know what a panettone is? Okay, it's the pan dulce and something. This is the third one that I have been eating already because I love it, and it only comes for Christmas. So anyway, I ate 2.5, and I have this other half. But also, I am a little bit like trying to watch out about, because I got in a lot of weight since I'm not teaching since March. So everything that I'm eating is getting into in volume. It's becoming volume in my body. And I said, no, you have to stop, because I'm getting to really, instead of feeling great, I'm staring my lower back and saying, what are you doing to me? Because I'm losing my lower diaphragm. I'm losing the lower diaphragm to breathe. So my lower back goes, oh no, get out of that. So anyway, I say, I'm not going to eat. So the pan dulce has been there in the kitchen there for a couple of weeks. But I know that it lasts for a long time. It was made to last for a long time. So I get up in the morning and I said, oh, the pan dulce is here, how wonderful. I said, maybe I should take it with the girls and go, and instead of buying a pastry, we should have pan dulce today. And I said, oh, that would be good. But they said, oh no, that would be not right, because they will not, then they have to eat a pan dulce, and maybe they can eat whatever they want to. And it's too complex. And I don't know how the people will say, give me only hot chocolate and not buy a dessert. So anyway, I said, no, I'm not taking the pan dulce. And then all of a sudden I turn around and I see something about the tree of life. I have the tree of life, a piece of tree, a tree of life. Actually, I'm gonna bring it. If you allow me for a second, I'll bring it and I'll show it to you right now. Okay, what that is? Okay.
Almost done.
I'll be right there.
Martha, I just want to let people know that we will, if you want to decide upon, oh, here he is. Okay. But we'll decide upon how often we meet in a minute.
Oh, how beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful? So this is the crown. And this is the throat right here. This is the right and the left. This is the solar plexus. This is the pelvis. This is the foundation. And look, the foundation it goes all the way down to the center of the earth. And it's a mirror reflection of the crown because it's a trinity again. It's everything. It is 1 inch thick, and it was carved in Indonesia. In Indonesia, I bought it in one place. Buying it wasn't very expensive. But when I saw it, I knew that it was the tree of life. And I said, oh, how fantastic. So anyway, I have it. So I turn around and I am the tree of life. And then when you look at it, you don't see the tree of life if you don't understand it, that the whole, everything. And then I said, oh, how wonderful. And then I said, it must be strange for the students, for all of you, for me talking about the tree of life, because I wasn't born. I was Christian, I wasn't born with the tree of life. So it wasn't like all of a sudden I'm following the tree of life, but the tree of life became what it is through the physical body to me and understanding. And then I began to understand that if we are one, that means that I am Adam, that I am the first person as well. So when I embody and accepted the idea that I'm Adam itself, it became fantastic. The tree of life became part of myself. And now it's teaching me enormously, constantly, because all the things that we're telling you about the body and everything come from the mind allowing itself to embody. This is the oldest symbol of time. So anyway, making the story short, I look at it and I said, I wonder what all of you thinking about it. And then I said, well, don't worry about it. It's all perfect. Nothing, it's what it is. So I get in out of the house, and then I get into the garden. I open the door, and a package was in the door of the house. And I looked to the package, and then I said, "Oh, it's a blue bag." And then I opened it, and it was a challah. Challah, it was halva. It's the bread, the Jewish bread. And then somebody sent it to me, and it says, "This bread has made by the chef and such with love for you to have." And I said, oh, how lovely. Then I said, maybe Elaine sent it to me, because Elaine gave me a bag that it has the tree of life. When I don't know who it is, but anyway, I'll take it. Well, I have to eat it. So I ended up, I didn't get to have the panettone. I went to the chocolate and the place, and I offered to the girls. Elizabeth has a piece. I had a piece. But what I'm trying to tell you is that life has so many gifts that they are little things, but they are big things. Because the halva, the bread, it wasn't just the bread, it was the tree of life. It was the Jewish tradition that all of a sudden gave me, because it was Epiphany. Remember, there is Epiphany later. So anyway, the whole thing just came together. So every single moment, what I'm trying to tell you, that life creates these bubbles of explosions in your mind that put everything into context. And the context becomes an ecstatic experience because it has meanings related to everything. So the meaning that you might manifest is much larger, perhaps, than the components. And that's the beauty of it. So I wanted to share that, because I'm sure that it's happening to all of you, and it's going to happen more and more and more, because this is what it is. That we are inside of the realms of wholeness, width, and wholeness, and we are inside of the realms of creation. Ecstasy is the natural result of knowing, feeling, and experience that you're moving with everything. It's continual. It's 24/7. And then ecstasy has a mental connotation because it understands its nature. It's a heart connotation because the flow that comes into being as the chi, the energy of life. And it's physical because it can only exist in the present moment with everything. Yeah, with the whole. So anyway, I'm stopping now. I don't say anything else. I love you. Yeah. No question or anything, right? It's all beautiful. Ask me question. Tell me anything. I love questions, because questions is not the word. I don't know what other word can we have a question, but commentaries about anything that you said. Okay, I understand that, but I'm not clear about this. Oh, really understand this, but I see it in this way. And I would like you to know what the gift that I have been given today, share this experience with each other so we can really expand our experience from the all. Because once you are the all, which means that we are the we, the one is experience everything from the perspective of the we, not only for the one. So that's fantastic. Yeah.
I think that we should open, I think we should open up for everybody to talk a little bit, because the world has
wonderful.
changed so much that maybe, how's everybody doing?
I don't know. That's what I mean. It's for me. We don't have any more time. It's 4:36. Is it, or 26? If it's 26, we have 4 minutes. Yeah, no, we have. Did anybody would like to say something? I don't know. It's up to you. I don't want to put you into any place. Yeah, Darlene.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah.
yet. Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so I had an experience today, and it's always something that I think about, where I was looking for something in a store, and I knew before I went that it wouldn't be there. And I went anyway, and it wasn't there. So was I projecting? Was I understanding? I mean, it's obviously it's a semantic question, but and then I just decided to do something else completely that I had in mind, right?
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. I think that I don't know what to say, because it's what you make. Everything is what you make. But I think that you knew before that it would not be there. But maybe it was wonderful for you to be in the store because you needed to be there. Who knows all those things? But it doesn't really matter. But it's lovely that you were conscious that that was the case, and that was what happened. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's that cross between, am I creating it or am I knowing it?
I think that in reality is simultaneous. Reality is both. It's like you create it, you're knowing it, and you're living it. Always. So it's not just creating and knowing it, and you're living it. So that's what we're doing constantly. But the fantastic thing that now we are becoming conscious that we are creating, knowing it, and living it. Because the new consciousness gives us the knowing at the same time that we are creating, because we are part of the consciousness. I mean, not part. We are the natural expression of the new consciousness. Consciousness doesn't exist without our awareness, without ourselves. So yes, we are creating everything and we are experiencing everything, but that's the way that we're supposed to be. In the reality itself, and I'll stop because now I'm taking the time that I ask you to really comment. In reality itself, which is in unity and motion, and the reality, the greater reality that we are, everything was designed, the whole world was designed for the pleasure of our being, as to experience it in the moment of life. Everything was created for you, every single thing. Even the things that you may think that they are not nice or whatever in the moment, but you will eventually, you not even think that way, because you will understand that everything was created for the pleasure, for your pleasure. God gave you everything. What that means is that the actual moment of your consciousness is actually the divine nature of the receiving of grace. Every single moment. It's fantastic. And what I'm saying, yeah,
Cristiam,
yeah, go ahead, darling. Carolina.
can you see me, because I have my iPhone today and I can't see anybody but you.
Oh, really? You cannot?
I know. I'm so sad.
Okay, can you be for a moment there? Can you be for a moment there?
Carol, you can swipe to the side and you'll be able to see.
What?
You can swipe to the side. And
okay, now stop that.
Swipe to the side?
Yeah. No, darling. That's
wait.
Darling, I did. Look to the screen. Look to the screen.
You're welcome. No, she can now see everybody.
Darling,
I love it. Oh,
Carolina,
I can see 4 people.
It's okay. Look to the screen for a moment, okay? I love you, darling. Okay, we have taken a picture for you to see it. Yes. So,
Carol, you can swipe to the side and see 4.
Swipe again.
You can only see 4 people at a time. Yes, there's a
I
picture.
saw Isabel. Hi.
yes, just here. So what I mean by that, Carolina, you will be able to see yourself.
Now I'm on a low power mode. So
isn't this a miracle?
Well, listen,
No. You can see yourself instantly. But yes, and the light is beautiful, Carol. Absolutely fantastic.
Hi, Isabel.
So anyway, any other we have one more minute.
Question.
Yeah.
Question. Okay. So unless other people have a question regarding the consciousness right now, we need to ask how many people want to meet every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks. If you can let me know that, that would be great.